You've probably stood in the yogurt aisle with no idea what to reach for. Greek style, skyr, kefir, and a wall of flavoured high protein pots, all claiming to be the healthy choice, and wondered which one is right for your goals. Pick the wrong one and you could be missing out on health benefits and wasting your hard-earned cash. As a retired doctor turned nutritionist, I've been shopping. I've scrutinised the labels and eaten quite a lot of yoghurt. I'll break down the protein, fat, gut health benefits, cost, and what the marketing isn't telling you, so that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which yoghurt to choose depending on what your body actually needs. Before we compare anything, it's worth understanding how yoghurt is made, because the differences that matter start in the manufacturing process and the label doesn't explain that. The basics are identical. You take milk, you boil it, cool it down, add bacterial cultures and let it ferment. That gives you a plain natural yoghurt. Lactose is the natural sugar in milk and the bacteria turn that to lactic acid, which gives yoghurt its characteristic tangy taste. But then the process splits. With Greek yoghurt and skyr, which is Icelandic, there's an extra step, straining. The fermented yoghurt gets strained through a filter, and at home people use a cloth, to remove the liquid whey. That concentrates the protein, thickens the texture and reduces the lactose. It's a physical process, so nothing's added. Now here's where it gets interesting, because Greek style yoghurt, and pay attention to that word style, skips the straining entirely. Instead, manufacturers add thickeners like modified starch or milk powder to mimic the texture, the thick creamy texture of Greek yoghurt. So it might look and taste a bit like the real thing in the pot, but nutritionally it's a different product altogether. Specifically, the protein is lower because nothing's been concentrated. Skyr follows a similar principle. It's strained. Traditionally, it was made with skimmed milk rather than whole, and it had the enzyme rennet added during production. Which is why technically skyr is classified as a fresh soft cheese in Iceland rather than a yoghurt. And the bacterial cultures in skyr are also slightly different from the ones used in Greek yoghurt. But for our purposes, the important bit is that straining step. And then there's kefir, which is fermented with kefir cultures, which contain more bacterial strains than standard yoghurt. It ferments into a thinner, drinkable consistency and has a tangier taste. Different cultures, different texture, and a different nutritional profile. So 4 products that sit next to each other in the same supermarket aisle, all called yoghurt, but all slightly different. But which one you should put in your shopping basket, well, that depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're choosing a yoghurt specifically for protein and muscle growth, and after menopause, hanging on to muscle mass is a genuine priority. The straining distinction we just covered changes what ends up in the pot. But the full fat versus low fat decision has a catch that's worth knowing about too. So Greek yoghurt and skyr are naturally higher in protein than Greek style or plain natural yoghurt. And gram for gram, you're getting more protein per yoghurt pot. If we look at the traditional versions, skyr edges ahead of Greek on protein, and that's because it's made with skimmed milk. So you're starting with a leaner base that concentrates even further when strained. But these days you'll find whole fat, reduced fat and fat-free versions of both Greek and skyr on the shelves, so you've got options. Take these Greek yogurts as an example. This supermarket-owned brand, traditional full-fat Greek yogurt, is 10% fat, so 10 grams per 100 grams, or ish, it's 9.7. And it has got 5.9 grams of protein. In terms of taste, it's really good. It's very creamy and decadent. Their equivalent 0% version, which I don't have here, has 9.6 grams of protein. I do have this 0% Fage, not phage, Fage though, which has a whopping 10.3 grams per 100 grams. It's a much thicker yoghurt in general, and I do like the taste, but it is missing that creaminess. I've also got their 2% and 5% versions, which taste creamier than the zero fat, and they've got 9.9 grams and 9 grams of protein per 100 grams respectively. So lower fat and fat-free yogurts have proportionally more protein than full fat. But there is one big disadvantage to going fully fat-free though, and that's the fat-soluble vitamins. Specifically in yogurt, vitamins A and E. The amount of those is significantly reduced in skim milk, and skim milk is what's used to make a 0% yogurt. And this is a good time to squash a nutrition myth that non-fat yogurt is ultra-processed. It's not, it's just made from different milk, as I've said, skimmed as opposed to whole milk. Now, you could argue that skim milk is slightly more processed than its whole equivalent, but it's not a UPF and neither is a 0% fat-free Greek yogurt, provided it's made just from milk, which this one is. So for protein, real Greek and Skyr are the clear winners because the straining process puts them in a different league from Greek style or natural yogurt. I would avoid the full fat 10% as it does tend to be lower in protein. 0% technically gives you the most protein bang for your buck, but 2 and 5% are a good compromise if you want to get a little bit of fat and those fat-soluble vitamins along with the protein. And the difference in protein is pretty minor. But if weight loss is your goal rather than just protein, then the fat content does start to matter more. And I also want to talk about a piece of the saturated fat story that a lot of people don't know about. Now, if you're trying to lose body fat, calories do matter. And fat is the most calorie-dense macronutrient, so choosing a lower or fat-free Greek yogurt or Skyr will save you a few calories per serving. 150 grams of this 0% Skyr has 90 calories, and the same amount of the 5% has 149. And in my opinion, both taste decent. Skyr is very thick and satisfying, and yeah, you're also getting the benefit of that high protein content, and that helps keeping you feel full between meals. Protein is the most satisfying macronutrient, so a pot of Greek yogurt or Skyr will keep you going longer than a pot of natural yogurt. Now, there is an argument that the higher fat strained yogurts might keep you fuller still because fat is also satiating. So my best advice is to try a couple and find the percentage fat content that works best for you in terms of keeping you full and the calories. Now, saturated fat. This might be on your mind if heart health is a concern for you. The evidence does show that saturated fat raises cholesterol, which is why pretty much all countries recommend keeping saturated fat at under 10% of your daily calories. And yes, that does include the new dietary guidance in the US. People will argue the toss on this, and I've had plenty of comments telling me otherwise, and I'm pretty sure I'll get plenty more. But in my opinion, looking at the totality of evidence, it's unequivocal. However, and this is genuinely useful to know, the saturated fat in dairy appears to behave differently from the saturated fat, say, in processed meat. And this is because of something called the food matrix. Essentially, the physical structure of the food and how its components interact during digestion. The calcium, the proteins, the way the fat is packaged within dairy. All of that changes how your body processes it. And the research increasingly suggests that the fat in fermented dairy like yogurt is heart health risk neutral. So if you prefer the taste of a full fat Greek yogurt and weight loss isn't your primary concern, the current evidence is reassuring. But if you've got raised cholesterol or any heart health concerns, then please discuss it with your doctor. If weight loss is your primary concern, lower fat or fat-free Greek and Skyr give you the best protein to calorie ratio. High protein to keep you full, fewer calories from fat. And if you're finding this video useful, I've got a newsletter where I go deeper on what I've covered in this week's video. Recipes, research or practical tips. It comes out every Friday and the link to join is in the description below. Now, gut health is a different question entirely, and if that's what you're optimizing for, one product in this aisle stands out. But it does come with some trade-offs. Now, all of these yogurts, Greek, Skyr, natural, they all contain live bacterial cultures, and that is genuinely good for your gut. So whatever you're already eating from the dairy aisle, you're getting some benefit. But do check on the label though that it says contains live cultures. But kefir is in a different league when it comes to culture diversity. We're talking multiple different strains of bacteria compared to the 2 or 3 that you'd typically find in a standard yogurt. For gut microbiome diversity, which is what the research increasingly points to as highly beneficial, nothing else comes close. The fermentation process also removes more of the lactose than in natural yoghurt. The catch is that kefir comes with a few trade-offs. Now, as a natural, unstrained product, the protein content is lower than Greek yoghurt or skyr. And then there's the taste. Kefir is tangier and thinner than yoghurt. More like a drinking yoghurt than something you'd spoon onto your fruit, although some versions marketed as yoghurt are a little thicker. In terms of the taste, now some people take to it immediately, others find it an acquired taste, and honestly, some never acquire the taste. Now, if you're in the UK, I did find this in the supermarket. This is a high-protein kefir, and this is made with quark. Quark is a type of soft cheese and thicker than yoghurt, but I still find this a bit sour and it's a bit too thick. So kefir is the gut health specialist, more culture diversity than anything else in the dairy aisle, but it's not for everyone and it's generally lower in protein. So it earns its place, but you might want to use it as an add-on rather than your main yoghurt and mix it with a higher protein yoghurt to make the taste a little less obvious. So now we've covered the real difference between these yogurts, but there's another category sitting on the same shelf that deserves its own mention. Those flavoured, high-protein yogurts in bright packaging aimed squarely at the health conscious. So are they worth it? Let's investigate the label. Firstly, it's a strained yoghurt, which is how they get the high protein content. A strawberry flavoured strained yoghurt with sweetener, to be precise. If we delve into the ingredient list, it's made with skyr, so far so good. The next ingredient though is grape juice concentrate, which is essentially sugar. It's also got real strawberries in it, but only 2%. It's got some maize starch, natural flavourings, pectin, which acts as a stabiliser, an acidity regulator, and stevia as a sweetener. So there's 20 grams of protein in this 200 gram pot, but that's exactly the same as you'd get in the 0% skyr we reviewed earlier. But it's got more sugar, so 6.3 grams as opposed to 4 grams, and crucially, these are partly added sugars, whereas the milk sugar, the lactose, isn't a free sugar. It's contained in the food matrix and doesn't have the same effect on your blood sugar. So a plain pot of Greek yogurt or skyr gives you comparable protein, but no added sugars and none of the extra thickeners and sweeteners. I get it though, if you don't like the taste of plain yogurt, the flavourings and the added sweetness help to disguise that. There is another way though, so get a packet of frozen fruit, I like cherries, defrost it, mix it with plain yoghurt, and you've got a healthier fruit flavoured yoghurt. If you need a little bit more sweetness, add in some honey or maple syrup. I like to add in nutrition, so sprinkle on a few nuts or seeds, and you've got a really filling, nutritionally balanced breakfast or snack. But that snack though is not necessarily cheaper. There is a cost of living crisis on in many countries, and so we need to talk about price. Greek yoghurt and skyr cost significantly more than plain natural yoghurt. The nutritional benefits are real, but so is the price gap. So is it always worth paying more? So let's start by looking at the price per kilogram. The supermarket-owned Greek style is £1.98, the kefir is £4.50, the supermarket-owned Greek full fat is £4.70, the skyr is £5.56, the high-protein fruit yoghurt is £7.25, but the 5% fei is a whopping £11 per kilogram. So depending on the brand, you can pay up to 5.5 times as much for Greek yoghurt as compared to a basic natural yoghurt. And over a week, over a month, that really adds up. And natural yoghurt is still a perfectly good food. It's got protein, it's got calcium. In fact, the calcium content in natural yoghurt is usually higher than in Greek yoghurt because the straining process removes some of the calcium. So if bone health is on your mind, then natural yoghurt more than holds its own. And this Greek style yoghurt still has 4 grams of protein per 100 grams. The way I like to think about it is this: on the days when your protein matters, when your meals are lighter or your strength training, And when you really need that yogurt to do some nutritional lifting, Greek or skyr is probably worth the extra cost, particularly if you shop around for the more cost-effective supermarket-owned brands. However, on a Tuesday evening, when you're spooning some yogurt onto your curry, and your meals for the rest of the day are solid and you're hitting your protein targets, then natural yogurt does the job. Greek and skyr earn the premium when protein is the priority, but natural yogurt is a smart, cost-effective, everyday choice, especially on the days when the rest of your diet has you covered. So with all of that in mind, what does the actual decision look like when you're standing in the aisle? Let me give you my practical verdict. For most women after menopause, my pick for an everyday default yogurt is a 2% or 5% fat Greek yogurt. You're getting high protein, enough fat for the fat-soluble vitamins, and it tastes good without the extra calories of 10%. Skyr is an equally good choice if you prefer it. If gut health is a specific priority for you, add a small glass of kefir a couple of times a week. And those flavoured high-protein yogurts, I would honestly leave them on the shelf. A pot of plain Greek or skyr with some berries and a drizzle of honey is the better option. And on the days when your protein intake is covered by the rest of your meals and you'd rather not spend the extra cash, natural yogurt is absolutely fine. There's no need to buy Greek or skyr every single time if the budget doesn't suit or the day doesn't call for it. And if you're not sure about exactly how much protein you should be eating as a woman over 50, then watch this video next for all the answers, and I'll see you there.